Hello. Today's question asks, is it true that a person can learn a new skills from scratch and become proficient in 10,000 hours? That's what we're going to look today. Yeah, I would say that this 10,000 hours kind of rule holds quite well. My experience backs that up, and according to a lot of people out there working in industry, and this is what it takes for someone new in the field to come in with the necessary skills, but not the particular ones of the topic, okay, that they have to tackle. Then he or she will pull it together, and within this 10,000 hours, then it's kind of then becomes routine, let's say. Here we're talking about PhD students though, so things are a bit different. Why? Because you are fresh graduate, and you are given a project for the first time, quite important one, in which you lead it, okay, from day one. You have a supervisor, but it's busy, okay, with other things, and therefore you lead it, okay, most of the time, I would say. And what happens is that at the beginning you want to settle in a new place, and you want to make friends, and you want to show how knowledgeable you are in your topic. So you talk about it most of the time too with others, which is a great thing. And so the mood gets kind of propped up and a bit elevated, and in a couple of months, what I experienced by seeing others and also remembering my own experience as a fresh graduate that then went into a PhD project, is that you really look at the world from above. Okay, so I think it's not necessarily bad, this, but you really feel that you are on top of this after a couple of months. So for the mood side of the story, this is really good. There are some pitfalls though, that if you are overconfident and you are not reading and learning a lot about the topic, then kind of narrow it too much, and you may be not learning as much as you should do because of this overconfidence you have. And I think that this attitude of being a bit confident, should be channeled, and how it should be channeled into being a bit more outgoing, okay, to reach other people, to share information, and to listen also, to listen from other people, from your peers, from other experienced people in the department. There are also technicians in the department, and most of the time they are been there for decades, okay, or they've been doing that kind of job in other places before coming into your university for many years. So just listen to what they have to share. Most of the people in university I've been meeting were more than happy to share, okay, what they had, and their knowledge and their know-how. So just they use this kind of overconfidence to reach out on the people and try to bring things in, okay. So this will help you in keeping that mood quite high, and also probably shorten that 10,000 hours, which we're going to see in a minute. Now, this 10,000 hours, if you kind of work about 8 hours a day, and let's say a PhD, it's very motivated, and you will work 6 days a week instead of 7. So if you work 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, and you say, you work 47 weeks per year, then you will probably average just over 2,000 hours per year. So if your PhD is 3 years, okay, you have about 6,000 hours, okay, which is a bit shorter than the golden rule of 10,000 hours for you to become an expert in that particular field. So this is, looks not that promising from the start. However, just be mindful that PhD is extremely motivated person. So he or she is there investing quite a lot of time and effort and earning much less than he or she will earn into the private sector. Therefore, this should be an extra motivation for you, not necessarily to put more hours in, but to be more efficient. Because out of those 8 hours, there is a lot of dead time that one can not use it wisely at work. So I would suggest you to be a bit ruthless with time. When you're at work, just do work things, and then after, and you dedicate time to socializing and to do things that you like outside of your PhD. But when you're at work, just concentrate on that. Okay, that's my advice. Then there is another thing that this elevated mood that we have spoken earlier on about. It doesn't necessarily keeps the same throughout the PhD. What I've seen is that in many cases it drops, and it can drop quite dramatically. Not rapidly, but dramatically over time. We have spoken already in one of the previous videos about the PhD student-supervisor relationship and how this can really influence the outcome of your studies. And so I really encourage you to pay good attention to the interaction you have with others and the quality of those interactions, trying to minimize wasting time, precious time during these 3 years. And so we say that it doesn't look promising that you can make it this becoming kind of expert in 3 years, but wait a second. I have some proof that this is not the case. You can make it. We're going to see it next. I have a number of PhD students, and I've seen also mine. And so out of all of these PhD students which I have directly supervised or supervised with another supervisor from university when I was working in industry. Also there I had some PhD that were coming to work at the company. And what I have seen is that, it's not that easy to make it within 3 years. And if I kind of make a kind of an average, I would say, probably within 4 years, one can make it relatively, comfortable. But this is because there are a lot of places throughout the PhD where, there is considerable wastage of precious time. Okay, so if someone is careful enough, yeah, it's absolutely doable in 3 years. I'll take 2 examples. Mine, for instance, the first one. Well, I actually finished before 3 years. Okay, so I have been having a very good supervisor, which let me kind of manage my project and my time almost as I saw it appropriate to do it. He was guiding me, okay, when needed, but I was quite independent. And I kind of almost finished my experimental campaign, all of it, by the year 2. By the end of the year 2, it was all finished. So I could have written up my thesis in another 3-4 months. So probably by 2.5 years, I could have my thesis ended in. However, then we decided to do some extra numerical work for a few more months, and I graduated 2 months before the end of the 3rd year. So it's doable, okay? But I'm not, that spiritual, okay, person. Other people can do too. And I give another example. One of my first PhD student at the first company I went to work for also did it. Okay, he did it within 3 years. Okay, and this guy wasn't really hard working, but he was clever. He knew exactly which thing he will have to learn and how to approach the project, the different tasks of the project, in order to use as little energy at time possible and get as much out of it as possible. And this is the key to it. He completed his PhD within 3 years, and then he decided then to look for something kind of the same after that, in which he could have taken some of his non-complete piece of work during the PhD and finish them off during a postdoc. Okay? This is a very important message. During the PhD, you should not aim to give the last word on the topic. You are giving your view. You're giving some answers to some of the questions, but it's never the end of the story. Okay? There could be other people coming after you that could add to what you have already said. And you got to do that too. You could go in another place after you finish your PhD and further research some of the more difficult issues that cannot be done within a few years. And this is my case as well. After I finished my PhD, I went to industry and then I come back to academia, and I've been working on some of the kind of little things that I couldn't do it when I was a PhD student, because we didn't have the equipment or we didn't have the expertise at that time. So I put them aside and I concentrate on the core work to answer important questions, and those questions only. So yes, indeed, it can be absolutely made in 6,000 hours instead of this golden rule of 10,000 hours, because you are a PhD student. You are much more motivated than many people out there. Okay? So, yeah. Keep your head down. Okay? Try to minimize the wastage of time you do when you are at work. Okay? And you will see that you can achieve this target of becoming a truly expert in your field within the given 3 years. If this was not possible, they will not giving you 3 years. They will giving you 5 years to do the PhD. This is absolutely possible to do it within 3 years. You can become an expert in the field within 3 years. Thank you for watching.